In classic terms, it doesn't come any bigger than Ari Vatanen. The Flying Finn set the world on fire in the 70s and 80s, showing just how escorts should be driven.
This is huge. We've got Ari here. I'm really excited. You know, we've had Hannu and Mikkola here, we've had Waldegard, we've had McRae, we've had so many really good guests, Russell Brooks, and we've always wanted to have Ari here, and we've finally achieved it. It's just tremendous.
Joining Vatanen for the Classic is a string of drivers from New Zealand and Australia who have come here for 3 days of rallying around the Scottish capital. Beginning late Friday, 3 night stages will set the scene for a weekend of daytime racing across the Otago countryside. For many, it is a chance to pit themselves against a man who is seen as both a hero and an icon of motorsport.
How could you miss being here to compete with him? You know, one of the choices for us was whether we came and run or whether you just come and watch to see him in action, because, you know, as a kid, he was my idol. He was the guy that I always wanted to follow.
And my recollection is him driving across the finish line with no radiator cap on, the bonnet half up, thing bubbling water everywhere, and he just managed to get it across the line, and we finished behind him in the Chevette.
We had a fabulous day's testing in the forest with him a couple of days ago. He's a magic fellow, and I'm sure he'll give it his best. So just to be on the same start list with him is something pretty special.
He's a fantastic driver, fantastic ambassador for the sport, and you know, he's just someone that I think everyone in their time has looked up to.
And it's not just the drivers who look up to this man. Everywhere you turn, there are people snapping photos or wanting their memorabilia signed. With the scene finally set, our guest on the start line in the octagon, there's nothing more to be said. 20 minutes south at Waihola, the rally proper gets underway. Ari Vatanen is #1 on the road. Without the pressure of a factory drive, he eases cautiously into his first serious competition in an escort in more than 2 decades. Australian Stuart Reid is quicker than the Finn in at least Carr. Many of the overseas competitors have done just this as a means of being a part of this special event. Shane Merlin is the early leader though, screaming off into the darkness. By stage end, he has a 20-second lead on the field.
Into a 7 left 60. Into a 7 left 50. To a 6 left. Small crest. 30. 6 right 50. Long 6 right, small crest.
An early surprise is local Andy Ruddenclough, 4th fastest behind Vatanen, but without the benefit of pace notes, simply driving the road as he sees it in front. Reid claims victory in SS2 Henley by the narrowest of margins over Shane Merlin, but there are no excuses.
Keep it down a bit more. Drive to what the eyesight tells us.
6 right, 30, 6 right, 30, long 4 left and 5 left, don't cut.
Silver Fern winner Geoff suffers the same fate through the night stages.
Left, 5 right, tightens to a 2. Tightens to a 2. 30. 4 left, 150.
Can't see as well as I used to when I was a young fella. Right? Yeah. I'm struggling a wee bit, but hey, it's all about tomorrow and Sunday, isn't it?
Defending champion Derek Ayson is 6th in his Nissan-powered Escort, but it's not the start he wanted.
I think we lost our brakes in the first stage, so that sort of showed our confidence a little bit.
Interestingly, Ari Vatanen's confidence is also being tested.
So far, so good. Like a grandfather driving. Too fast for an old man who's afraid and no eyesight, you know, it's difficult.
His eyesight comes right next stage, Whare Flat, clinching the stage. Stuart Reid is just 1 point behind Vatanen and takes over the outright lead by the end of the night after Shane Merlin comes unstuck.
100. 8 right, going into a 6. 8 right, 6. Long, long 5 left. 30, 8 right, going into a long 7, 60, going into 4 right. Bugger.
He and John Benton are fine, and the car will rejoin for Heat 2 come Sunday.
80, the 6 right long.
After an overshoot in SS2, Robert van Gisbergen, with Ron Bartels pointing the way, climbed back up the ranks in SS3 from 27th to 6th, but they are behind Deb Kibble and a very good showing for the Lancer RS Turbo. While much has changed in the last 4 decades, not much has for Ari Vatanen and the Ford Escort, who fell in love with New Zealand and honeymooned here in 1979.
Quite amazing to think that this car was built, I mean, something like 40 years ago, and that was it was the car of my professional career in the beginning, and the car I liked a lot, which was like a glove in my hand, and here am I, you know. Compared to my honeymoon, which I did in late 70s here, now 30 odd years later, still here, still with the same wife and same car, so honeymoon continues in every sense of the word.
The honeymoon might soon be over for the Australian, who finds himself the overnight leader of the international Otago Classic Rally.
I've always driven quite well in the dark, but to do what we did last night, yeah, it was a big surprise.
You raced against Ari before?
Ari's my hero. No way in the world. So I'm quite happy if we all go home now.
I haven't been driving competitively for years and years, and let alone an Escort, so I mean, and in the dark. So it's very much a steep learning curve. But you know, I on the first stage I lost a lot of time. Second stage I lost less time. Third stage in this old car class I did the fastest time already, although by 0.1 second, but the fastest time however. So at this rate, we will go off the road maybe on the 7th or 8th stage.
Another Aussie is in third and under no illusion about the day ahead.
There's some very, very quick guys just a little bit behind us, and I'm sure that they're going to be off the planet today. So we'll just watch them go by and just, you know, stay in touch.
The day ahead starts near Beaumont, west of Lawrence. We're a long way from Britain, but for Alan Dippy, it's all the same. Calling in a few royal favours, the Dunedinite is racing for a cause in his V8 MG BGT.
You've got good sponsorship this year from Prince William and Catherine. It's good to see, so we're racing for England.
Roger Clark was one of the most famous Brits behind the wheel of a rally car, and this is one of his cars.
I'm not Roger, I'm Jim. This is a genuine ex-Works Escort, ex-Roger Clark from Rally Morocco World Championship round in 1976. It's a very special motor car, and I have to be very careful with it because it's my mum's.
All jokes aside, Hewlett's Escort is arguably the most expensive car of this model in the country, and believe it or not, he is being very careful. He's a minute slower than the fastest car on the stage. Geoff Judd, who leads through the SS4, 7 minutes 26 across the 13k stage, 3 quicker than Derek Ayson, who looks to have rectified his brake issues of last night.
Small crest 6 left, 60. Small crest 7 left, 60. 6 right over crest 180. Small crest 120.
Judd takes over third outright, but Van Gisbergen, aka Cheese, gets into the swing of things and is third quickest ahead of Ari Vatanen. Blur Spur, a short 7-kilometre stage ending back in Lawrence, is to Reed's liking. He takes the win by just 0.2 from a hard-charging Van Gisbergen. Marcus van Klink brings his brand new, immaculately prepared 13B peripheral port RX7 home 2 seconds later.
We just built it because I've always started in two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive especially, and I just enjoy rear-wheel drive, the crowds, and always wanted to build a good rotary, especially like main freight RX7. So we thought we'd do the European version and just be a crowd pleaser and have some fun at the same time.
Pointing the way for Ari Vatanen this weekend is Fabrizia Pons, who has been responsible for encouraging many overseas drivers to come and sample the Otago Classic. Pons and Vatanen were a formidable combination in their heyday and are enjoying the reunion.
Ari has always been very, very nice to me. Actually, I enjoy so much co-driving him. That is something fantastic. It doesn't matter how will be the result, but we enjoy so much ourselves, so it's fantastic.
There are no sheep stations at stake, but the internationals are quickest home across SS6 Corkscrew. Van Gisbergen is next. He and Ron Bartels have been turning up the wick and climbing back into contention after their off last night. By SS7, Cheese takes the first stage win of the event, 11 kilometres of flowing country roads heading north to Waitahuna. Stuart Reid is nearly 10 seconds off his pace, but it's enough to maintain the overall lead.
Yeah, I think it's time to suck it on the lemon. Remarkable. I just can't believe that we're in the position we're in, and just absolutely loving driving the car and loving the roads. So still learning, but awesome, just awesome.
60, 9 right, 70, right entry, 7 left.
Sorry about that.
Into late, 7 right. 50, in 9 right, into 8 left. 9 right, 60, 9 left, 60, 8 left.
The town of Lawrence was made famous by gold mining more than a century ago. Almost in a state of suspended history, the town is littered with reminders of a bygone age. Its claim to fame these days is being the first town in New Zealand to offer wireless internet. Today, Lawrence is a home to rally service crews, tending to their cars as they come and go from special stages.
Roads are generally much faster, a lot more over the brows, little bit like in Finland without the jumps, whereas in North Island you have a lot more lateral driving. You turn left and right, proper cornering. Whereas here they tend to be much faster, more flowing. That sort of, yeah, very much a different character. The next one, now the very long one, that has got lots of corners, but that in a way is less natural because it's done it's for timber works, but that's a very good stage.
Well, these are typical Central Otago public roads, just rolling crests and a little bit like Finland without the trees, I guess, but just magnificent roads. The next one's totally different in the forest. There'll be some treacherous, wet, slippery sections in there and just bony, gnarly forest, so 43 k's or anything can happen in there. So.
The best Judd can muster through the Berwick stage is 6th, but he moves up to 3rd outright after Stuart Reid is sidelined near the start with a broken axle.
36 left. Ah, for f***'s sake. Ah. 30.
Willie Rutherford and Alister Gilmore power on past the stricken Escort. Their Porsche is well down the order, but will finish every stage and line up for the Tarmac Super Special stage in Dunedin. Vatanen relishes the 47-kilometre forest stage, bringing the Rosendale Wines Escort home 27 seconds clear of Robert van Gisbergen. 2 stages back-to-back, totalling nearly 60 kilometres.
Had to sort of look after the tyres a bit at the start, but I don't think I did. Sort of got a little bit.
It's driving. Come on. Now I can beginning to see that I might have been relatively fast in my younger days, you know.
There's time to change rubber for the super special stage. It's showtime. Van Gisbergen is again fastest, but by just 0.8 of a second. Duncan McCrosty in the turbo Nissan Bluebird showing the difference a bit of boost can make.
That corner, probably knows he's got Ari. Oh, loses it! Totally crossed up, almost hits the lamppost.
But it's Vatanen who steals the limelight. He and his co-driver from 1977, Jim Scott, reunited in a replica car they competed in together back in 1977. The crowd was dosed up on burning rubber and nostalgia, and plenty of entertainment. Vatanen tops the charts at the end of day one, ahead of Ayson and Judd. Geoff David is the highest placed Australian, whilst Duncan McCrosty rounds out the fastest five in the International Otago Classic Rally for 2011. Not everyone in the Otago Classic Rally is using pace notes, the system for reading the road ahead. Andy Ruddenclaw has reverted to driving the rally blind, or as you see it in front of you.
Well, of course, a good mate of mine, Mark Lawton, he's driven without pace notes the last couple of years, and he's one of my main competitors, so I thought, right, we'll give it a crack and see how we go against him.
I've done it on pace notes a couple of times, and it just works better for me doing the rally blind. And hey, there's a prize for being first home, not on notes, and I've won that trophy once, and I want to win it again.
The start is on the hills overlooking the Taieri Plains. At 19 kilometres in length, Fort Hills will quickly gain a reputation for claiming scalps in 2011. Mark Lawton's V8-powered Rovenger is no match for Ruddenclaw, trailing the Escort by more than 30 seconds. But the surprise for Ruddenclaw is not beating the used car salesman from Dunedin, but the carnage strewn through the surrounding paddock. Geoff Judd had a big lose and rolled through a deer fence. Van Gisbergen passes the same point, but he doesn't get much further. Both crews walk away from their crashes, but there will be some serious work needed to get them back into competition. Derek Ayson is second quickest through Fort Hill and maintains his position outright, almost a minute and a half shy of the Flying Finn. It's an elated Marcus van Klink, though, who takes his first stage win in the brand new Mazda RX-7.
We were right about that. It was a really good stage. I think it suited the Mazda just perfectly, and gee, a lot of carnage in there. So it's good for us, I suppose, with exceptionally good stage.
Lake Waihola provides the backdrop for the service park today. Ari Vatanen feeling right at home.
A little bit like in Finland with this lake in front of us, and I mean, look at, but it's just beautiful. It sums it up.
Rob Wiley gets it together through SS11 Tidy Beach and brings his Nissan 240 RS to the finish 3 seconds behind Van Klink in a personal best for the weekend. In a field this large, there are plenty of individual races happening between drivers in varying classes. Leading the under 1700cc category is Cameron Moore from Christchurch. The man from hunting and fishing crashed out in huge style last year, but will go on to win his class in 2011.
180.
Up front, the 2010 winner finally picks up his first stage. Cootie Bush, a favourite of the Classic, SS12 is dealt to in style by Derek Ayson and Greg Scott.
Small crest, long 6 left 60. 7 right 30. Small crest 60. 5 left. Small crest 50. Long 7 right, tightens to a 5, tightens to a 4, 5 left. Five left opens. Small crest 7 right, into 7 left, 50. 7 crest, 7 right over small crest 150. 7 right over small crest 50.
Geoff David is second quickest, 15 seconds behind the leader.
Over crest, then 200, to mid crest, 250, caution, mid left crest, long 6 left up the end. So it's a caution, mid left crest to long 6 left. 60, long 5 right, then 80. Small crest 6 left, and then 120, caution, 4 right tightens in junction, don't go wide. 180, 7 right.
Duncan McCrosty is 8 seconds behind David. Roger Townsend is another who makes a showing through the event's signature stage, 6th fastest.
7 right over small crest 50, long 7 left 80. 7 left over small crest 100 here, yeah, 100. Keep left past junction 50. 8 left over small crest 50. 80. 7 left 50. 7 left over small crest and 7 right, Kings 250. Kings 250. 7 right, tightens to 6 over small crest.
With the comfort of a healthy 90-second lead, Ari Vatanen eases off slightly. Ayson snatches the narrowest of wins through 13, but the Finn grabs it back again in SS14, Waipori Gorge. Consistent finishing from Duncan McCrosty sees him move up to 4th outright. Mark Lawton claims 8th through this stage, his best performance. But Ruddenclaw has his measure and will collect the Fastest Without Pace Notes award for the event. The final stage of the event, and Tony Johnson is sure to please. Turnaround Tony is up to his old antics, but after fitting some go-fast bits to the V8 Capri, the car doesn't swap ends anymore. Mind you, it's not for the want of trying. In case you're disappointed with Tony's efforts this year, take a look at this from the end of the same stage yesterday. Ari Vatanen is on fire through the last stage, living up to his nickname. The Flying Finn is mesmerising to watch behind the wheel. Ayson is just 1 minute behind Vatanen and Pons. Nothing is said of the Finn's misfortune, but concentration is almost impossible for the remaining 30 kilometres. Ayson and Scott will win if Vatanen cannot get mobile.
I hope that was just a puncture Ari had.
Yeah, it was hard to concentrate.
You're telling me.
It wasn't a puncture, and the Rossendale Wines Escort is unable to finish the event. Ayson and Scott score their third Otago Classic victory. Geoff David finishes off one better than last year. Andy Ruddenclaw collects fastest man without pace notes and celebrates a podium here in Otago. Finish or not, the presence of one of the world's most famous rally drivers has again lifted the bar for the International Otago Classic Rally.